Okay, you remember the flight of the Garuda, where he's talking about there being these two states, right? Technically, he's right, except that when the original state of the newborn becomes traumatized, that's when it believes it's in a dangerous situation, and it projects that it's an external danger, and it identifies with the body that now becomes an object of fearful, paranoid need for protection or aggressivity to defend itself, etc. But before that, it would not happen until the acquisition of language. And you would see the newborn would be in just state of wonder and awe and joy, right? And so if there isn't any trauma, the natural state is that of non-duality. And then when one begins to believe that one is answerable to those calling one's name, and one is identified by those others in the dream as a body, one is pulled into it because of the body's need for their approval, and then their frame of reference of duality becomes one's own system of thinking, right? And then everything is labeled, and one's consciousness is infested by language and thoughts. And there's never any silence and freedom to realize again it's all a dream, because the thinking, which is both defensive and desirous, is always needing to make sure that it is in a secure and safe situation and things are under control, right? So then one is obsessed with that dualistic frame of reference and trying to sustain it in a way that is comfortable, right? So once one is able to recognize that one gave in to a certain set of forces that were appearing in the dream that were sufficiently seductive and intimidating in combination, one fell under that spell. And the reason they call it a spell is that you learn to spell words, and they get spelled in your mind, and then you lose the actual sovereignty over your own consciousness, because the language is installed by the other along with the desires of the other, originally the mother, and then the whole family system, and then that becomes what you are answerable to, and you become perhaps victimized by it, but also sustained and needy of that support because of the now lost wholeness and true empowerment that would give you sovereignty and the ability to stand alone and say no, because you have to be able to say no if you want to authentically say yes. And otherwise, you're living an inauthentic life, and you're having to say things you don't believe in order to pacify, the parents and the system, that if you spoke too much truth, they would, oust you or punish you or whatever, which is now, see happening in the external world. They're arresting journalists and those who are speaking too much uncomfortable truths. So there's a recapitulation at every fractal level of that internal trauma that every ego these days undergoes almost from the beginning of life.
You speak of a stage, you have spoken in your teachings, where you start seeing the magic of the dream, like the impossibility, synchronicities, just things that are very uncanny that start happening, that are showing you that there's something particularly how can I say, unreal and yet very real at the same time, right?
Yes.
Unreal of the world and very real of the supreme real.
Yes. That's right. You're given a constant set of clues that don't take this seriously as a standalone world outside yourself, because you are dreaming it, even though you have lost your understanding that that is the case. And the more that you're able to appreciate the beauty of the dream, which will first come perhaps as a gratitude for the mercy of God in giving you whatever those synchronicities, or let's say bits of paranormally gained information and sense of let's say peace and serenity and joy that can happen in those moments in which one is able to connect with one's real self. Then if one can start to have faith in the surreal nature of the dream field and begin to explore that and play with it, one will see that, yes, there are powers that can be developed if one accepts the magical nature of a consciousness and its ability to influence what unfolds in the morphogenic field, right? And then one begins to realize, well, to do that, I need to attune to a much more subtle level of intelligence. And then I have to silence the gross chatter of the mind in order to receive that wisdom and direct real-time information. And then one is able to live in that virtual reality, not in the actual, and gradually perceive that all of time is present now, and all of the wisdom accumulated by the soul, past and future, is all available if you are willing to access that amount of truth that will be ego-shattering. That's the price for that knowledge.
Beautiful. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thank you.